Hi, I'm Roxy. I'm an illustrator and designer. Recently, I was working on a book cover commission for a historical fiction, and whilst painting the soldier's helmet, I realized it provided a good opportunity to demonstrate the Fresnel effect and why it can take your shading to the next level. So, jumping right in, the Fresnel effect, it's spelled Fresnel, but it's pronounced Fresnel because French people. What it very basically is that when you're looking at an object that is at least a little bit glossy, the planes or surfaces that are oblique to you will be a lot more reflective than the planes and surfaces that are facing you. So in this situation, as the helmet starts to curve away from the viewer, it starts to reflect its surroundings, which in this case is the overcast environment. So if we look dead on at the helmet, we see the local color, that army green, and as it curves away in 3D space, I started to adjust the color and value closer to the overcast sky. For a real-world example, let's look at my coffee cup. It used to have a matte finish, but through years of washing, it's quite glossy now. And yes, I drink coffee from a cup instead of a mug because I'm quite fancy. I have a saucer and everything. Although I'm not very fancy because I don't hold my pinky out when I drink. I hold it like a Neanderthal. But back to the lesson at hand. You can see if we look at the front part, it's not very reflective. We can see it's a plain black cup. But as we look at the edges that curve away from us, we can see the mug starts to reflect its environment. It's starting to pick up that beige color from the table. At the moment, I have a light source behind it in the form of a window. If I move around the coffee table so that the light source is on the left, now we see the left side of the mug is actually reflecting the blue from the sky outside the window, and the right side is still picking up the beige from the table. If I move around again so that the window is behind me and the light is hitting the face of the cup, you can see it's still picking up the beige from the table on the sides. And if I stand up and face the camera down at the cup, now at this view, we're looking at the front face of the cup obliquely instead of dead on. I believe it's called a glancing or glazing angle. And you can see it's becoming quite reflective. If we go even more oblique, watch how that front face almost disappears into the table because of the Fresnel effect. So to further illustrate, I've quickly painted these basic glossy shapes in a pink environment, and I'll start adding the Fresnel effect to the ball. As it's a ball, all surfaces curve away from us, like the helmet, so we can add the Fresnel effect on the sides, the top and the bottom, in fact especially the bottom because that pink floor is right there, so we'll have some bounce reflection from that. Then with the pyramid, the left side is angled away from us, so we'll get some Fresnel effect there. And in fact, we can also just add some dark brushwork here because it'll be picking up the reflection of the pyramid too. And the pyramid will obviously be picking up the reflection of the pillar, so we can add a dark kind of indistinct shape here as well. The sides of the pillar curve away from us too, so we'll use the Fresnel effect quite strongly on either side. And the top plane is angled away from us, so we can add a touch of pink there too. So the rule is that provided the object is at least a little glossy, we'll observe the Fresnel effect when parts of that object, it's either curving away or angled away from the viewer. We don't see the Fresnel effect on matte things. So like in my Mel Medada fan art here, we typically aren't going to see it on her skin or clothes, but we'll certainly have Fresnel effect on her jewelry. So just to make it obvious, I'm going to make the environment green. And then on a new layer, I'll set it to color. And with green loaded on my brush, I'm just going to swipe it all over the shiny surfaces that face away from us. The earrings are kind of angled to the sides, so we'll add some Fresnel there. These rings in her hair, all the bits that are facing away. Oh, and this down here, it's facing upwards away from us. You know, maybe her hair product is glossy enough that we can add it to the edges there too. Typically, skin wouldn't be glossy enough for the Fresnel effect, but let's say she's really sweaty or she just came in from the rain, then it could be conceivable. Also, you know what, we're artists and we can break the laws of physics whenever we damn well please. So each plane of her ears that is facing away from us would catch the Fresnel effect if her skin was wet. Her jawline, the sides of her nose. She's already looking wetter, isn't she? I should mention the Fresnel effect doesn't need to be colored. I'm just using a strongly colored environment so that the Fresnel effect is more obvious. But with more neutral lighting, you can typically get away with a light gray tinge. Something like this. So I hope that takes your shading to the next level. If you like learning about this type of thing, I do a weekly article-based lesson for my patrons on Discord. It's $5 a month, and there's at present 136 lessons and counting, including a 7-part series on the anatomy of shading. As always, thank you to my dear patrons, and thank you for watching. Much obliged if you leave a like and subscribe. Until the next one, God bless.